my name is Dee, and you're watching Dee True Crime. What happened to Candusbly? What made her change? When Don and his son went to Utah in 2020, Candus went through a lot of changes then and later on that year. Between June 2020 and December of 2020, Allie and her 3 kids started staying with Candus, and then Jose came.
End up, kind of you guys mixing together, and somehow you ended up down at 110 Ben Hill Road. You ended up in Tennessee. Tell me about those dynamics. And
there, I had met Andrew, and he seemed a pretty okay guy. He didn't seem like out of the ordinary at the time. I didn't see him using drugs.
What was going on?
Let's talk
why
turkey.
All of a sudden there's this, move to go down to Tennessee?
You were the one that asked to go along when they were leaving
Correct.
for Tennessee. What was in their plan? You said they had a house down there.
Yeah, that they already had a house waiting for them. Jack already had his transfer came in from the Walmart in Gloversville along for the ride. That's what I did. I literally sat in the back of that U-Haul truck. I don't know if it was a U-Haul or Penske, well, one of those trucks. But I was sitting in a couch, locked in the back for almost the majority of the ride.
So at some point you make the destination, and where did you guys pull into when you first got to Tennessee? Do you remember?
Yeah, we stopped at the storage where Jeff wanted to put some of the things in storage because they really did have a lot of stuff. Get the storage, we put everything here into the storage because the people who had rented the truck and the van, they had to return that back that day. And we knew it was a long ride for them to go back. So when we got there, we parked in front of the storage. We probably waited about an hour for it to open. Once it opened, he went in, got the storage. He drove the truck in, and we just unloaded it into a unit. And then they were supposed to leave. And within the time we're unloading, Jeff and Andrew are on their phones. And I guess that's when they found out that the house didn't come through and all this other stuff. They were upset. And then Jeff and Andrew were talking, well, let's find a hotel at least, so we could figure out what we're going to do.
Somebody mentioned one time that it was around the week of the Bristol race, and I looked it up on Google, and Bristol race was September 17th and 18th.
How does the Wells family come into this? At what point?
So, Andrew had called them, like after we unloaded the truck, that we started looking for the hotel room. It must have been our second or third hotel we went to check. They loaded up the truck that I finished helping them. We just split ways. I went with Allie, Candus, and her mother, and everybody else went back to New York. I said, please call your baby mother, ask her. Just ask her to see what happens. And he wound up calling her, and Candus said yes. And then they wound up turning right back around to come pick me up to go with them. That I do not know. I don't remember the exact date. And that's what I've been telling everyone. I really don't remember the exact date.
Well, if they came into that area of Tennessee when the Bristol races were going on, it had to be before the race, because after the race happens, everybody leaves. And they had trouble finding a hotel, motel, so it had to be before September 17th or 18th. There were 2 races. One was September 17th and one was September 18th.
They show up and you see Summer. Is that the first time you see Summer?
Yes, absolutely. She actually walked up to me and shook my hand and introduced herself.
That's cute.
Oh, really?
Do you remember how Summer was afraid of David Dotson in church?
Pressure where they were nice. That was my first impression. It's
And
the first time I ever met them, you know, so it kind of felt uncomfortable a little bit. And I was like, I'm just going to stay. I'm just going to rug it away from my contract and go. That's it. She was like, he could stay in my place. I got an extra room. And she even offered for all of them to stay, but they all said no. They wanted to go back of the truck, and that's where they sat. And they was just asking me, you know, what kind of work I did and things like that. Just, I guess, getting to know me. Out, they all got out and they all started walking in the house. They asked me if I needed any help with my luggage. I was like, no. I just picked it. I was able to carry it on my own. And I took it, and they was like, don't be afraid of the dogs, because that was my main fear, that they were going to bite in that front room. And all you could see is just wreck everywhere, clothes all over the place, cups, empty water bottles, soda bottles, just on top of the tables, the TV stand, movies piled up. And then they had two queen-size mattresses laid out on the floor, and those had the pillows and blankets, plus a couple of the kids' clothes was there. They
run
had
through those mattresses, Jose.
the first room when you enter.
Were there bunk beds there at that time?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. Then what happened? Who was telling
And then, you know, Allie, Candus, and the grandmother, they were like, come into the kitchen, come sit down. We're not going to bite, you know, like they were laughing, you know, just cracking jokes and stuff.
And
Because
where
I
the
was already
kids?
depressed, so.
Right.
Running around. Summer went straight to the swing, and the boys was outside with her, and they were there just playing. I told Hunter to show me where it was, you know, to take me to the bathroom. So that's when I wound up getting up. You walk past that little bar thing that they have, and right there was these two big 6-straw dressers, one on top of the other with a sheet over it. And Hunter was like, the bathroom's right here, and he just pointed. So I go, and when I look, it's just the toilet, the shower, and the sink. No walls, no doors at all. And I was like, whoa. And they were like, oh, don't worry, nobody's going to go back there, you know? And I was like, okay. So I just wound up using the bathroom. And I'm just standing there like, where's the wall at?
I find that statement a little odd. If you go into the bathroom, isn't that what you're going to the bathroom for? To use the bathroom? And he winded up using the bathroom. That should have been his main objective when he went into the bathroom.
There's no door, you know, and then I noticed the water tank heater that they had up in the ceiling and the pipes coming from the ceiling and stuff. And I just started to observe, you know, just to look around and stuff. And then I noticed their closet and all the clothes that was there. They had a BB rifle there laying up against the sink in the closet. I used the bathroom, turned right back around, and came right back to them. And I didn't even notice the stairs at this time yet, you know, because I just walked right back. And then I was like, can I put my stuff away? Because the kitchen was clustered already. And I had a pretty big suitcase with me. And that's when Candus was like, yeah, come with me. And I was like, okay. Oh, yeah, my husband's 6 foot, you know, he fits down here. Same thing, told you. If he could fit down here, so can you. But I'm wide. You know, I'm a hefty guy. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then Hunter was like, my mom fits through there, you know, we all do. And I was like, okay. So that's when I had walked down there, down those steps. And then Candus was like, this was where you could, this will be your room, Jose. And then when I looked over to the right, the bunk beds were there.
Okay.
And I just walked in there, and they had the bunk beds there.
Candus, is Candus down there with you, showing you around, basically giving you the tour?
Yes,
Okay.
she is.
Okay.
She was telling me that bottom door never gets opened at all. The couch always stays there because it doesn't fully lock. You know, she had informed me of that.
Candus had Allie and her 3 kids staying with her, and then Jose came. And Candus went through some changes around that time. Allie ended up calling the sheriff's department in Sullivan County on her. I think she called 2 different agencies, and her kids were still there. True and Hunter were still there. This happened 1 week after Jose arrived.
Central Dispatch.
Yes, my name is Alison Harris. I just got off the phone with Kingsport City Police Department. I have an issue at hand. I've been staying at a friend of mine's house for a little over a week now, and I have my one daughter home with me back in the city of Kingsport. Right now we're sitting at Dollar General off of Lone Star Road. And my oldest 2 children are up at my friend's house. And the reason why they're still up there is because when I went to leave this morning for work, because there was a confrontation last night between us all, and then this morning when she woke up, she was very confrontational about the whole situation. So I had to wait until her mom got awake to bring me to work. And she basically threatened anyone who came up to the house, she was going to blow their heads off. She's bipolar. She's very, very.
Okay, so what are you needing from us?
I need someone to go up to her house to get my 2 children.
Okay, does she have any, like, is there split custody or is there anything like that?
No.
It's most likely that Candus was being fueled by a substance and alcohol. Jose said Candus called Donnie every day and wanted money, and she called him every day. To me, Jose doesn't appear to be a self-motivated person, and he was probably a little bit clingy. But when Don came back, it was time for Jose to go. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every view, every like, everything. Y'all have a great weekend, and be safe out there, and don't get in any trouble. See y'all later.